Notebook LM has been called or is being called an AI powered note taking revolution. But is it really? Uh, can you really replace your existing note taking options with this particular tool? Let's talk about what I keep wanting to call it Notepad, Notebook LM really is, its features, its strengths, its limitations compared to other tools, and talk about some of the common questions. Sound good? Let's get started. Note taking is a part of everybody's life, and we all have our favorite ways of doing it. And there is a new contender in the market that's getting a lot of press. And we're going to talk about what it really means based on what I have seen to date, and talk about how it compares to other tools that we are currently using. So let's start off with the basics, as we always do here. Notebook LM, what does that name mean? So, notebook is actually part of the problem from my standpoint because it's misleading, but it is implying that you can use this for generalized note taking. And the LM refers to language model. So that's how they're implying or connecting it to the AI work that everybody's into, right? A few years ago, everything had Bluetooth, now everything has AI. Um, the difference here is that unlike chatbots, like the Chat GTP, I wish I'd come up with a better name for that. The idea behind this is that it is going to learn and focus and answer questions based on the content you give it, not what it randomly finds out in the cyber universe. So, from that standpoint, it is a little bit unique, and is certainly going to give you more of a focused set of answers. Um, so, the idea is that this is going to be your personal research assistant, your brainstorming tool, notebook, like many, many things rolled up in one, right? That everybody wants the Swiss Army knife of solutions. And the focus is supposed to be that it's going to take a look at the notes and the source material that you give it, and then help you brainstorm and research and gain insights. And it will answer questions for you and even help you take those random pieces of information and turn them into different forms of content, right? So if you want a script, or if you want a newsletter, or if you want to, use it for your thesis, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So you get presentations. So you can have it give you outlines and suggest which pieces to include, and that type of thing. We're going to talk about some use cases where this might be helpful, and then where it's maybe not going to be such a helpful thing. And the one thing I think that this is definitely going to garner some attention and be helpful to people is in research. So you can upload academic papers, your notes, articles, transcripts from interviews, that type of thing. And then the tool will extract the key points. It'll help you identify connections. It'll maybe bubble up some insights that possibly you didn't see on your own yet. And it can suggest further research options, and give you links to those, that type of thing. So, from that standpoint, this has some potential. Because that is obviously something we've all been doing for many, many years on our own. So it's just another tool to kind of help with that thing. So that I could see working. Another thing that potentially it could help with, although to be honest, at this point, I'm not seeing a lot more benefit over like a general thing like Bard or something like that, but content creation. So if you're looking for some like a blog post idea, or you're trying to flesh out an idea that you already have, something for a video or recording you need to do, you can use Notebook LM to analyze your notes and help you brainstorm ideas, generate outlines and snippets and that kind of thing. Maybe, maybe not. I will say that. So I did, for this show, I did a test with this tool and with Bard and ChatGPT, and as tends to happen for me, Bard won hands down. But again, this is early times for this particular tool. It has been out in beta and limited release. Now it is available to everybody, so maybe that'll change now. The other thing that I do think that this is going to be helpful with is learning. So it'll help you with studying. You can take your notes, any handout materials, as long as they're in certain formats, which we'll talk about, and it'll help you synthesize complex topics. It will help you, again, bubble up insights, connections, patterns, that type of thing. You can use it to generate practice questions. And based on the answers that you give it, it will suggest areas for improvement. So that type of thing, I think that this is the wheelhouse for this. Maybe not so much the notepad part of it or notebook. We'll get into this more. What it definitely is not good for, at least at this point in time, is jotting down quick notes. This is not some place that you're going to go and quickly jot down your grocery list, your to-do list, your reminders, anything that you just tend to put into Google Keep or on a notepad or whatever. This is not the tool for that. And I'll show you why in a minute. Simple, starting point brainstorming, this is not the tool for you. No AI tool is a good tool for that. You got to keep in mind that all AI can do is bring you back things that already exist. And if you're trying to come up with something new, the human brain is always going to be the solution for that. So for starting point, fresh idea type brainstorming, you're going to want to use paper, pen, maybe your existing, tools, maybe like Evernote or OneNote or whatever, mind mapping, that kind of thing. But this tool is not that. Which flows very nicely into the next thing that I don't think it's good for, which would be anything creative, right? So if you're looking for unfiltered thinking, if you're looking for creative thinking, creative writing, groundbreaking, breakthrough, fresh new ideas, again, AI can't do that. AI can maybe create interesting parallels, but it can't do the thinking part of it. And so that's still something you're going to want to do on a regular tool. All right. The pros and cons of note-taking tools versus this type of solution. We'll get into that next. But for anybody out there who has never met me before, is curious where I come from, my name is Kathleen, and I am here as your tech coach. Short version of the story is technology is my day gig. I design software applications for a living. And because of what I do and the fact that not only is it my day gig, but it's also my hobby, my friends, family, and neighbor all come to me when they have questions, when they want recommendations, when they're looking for an explanation of something technology-based. You don't want to come to me for your recipes because I don't cook. And I know that not everybody has somebody in their life like that because their friends, families, neighbors, and coworkers have started coming to me. So that's why I do this show every week. You are always welcome to come and hang out live if you'd like. Or you can always go to yourtechcoach.com. If you have a question, a comment, or you have a topic you want me to cover, you can let me know here. So hello and welcome. All right, let's get back into this because this is a juicy one. All right, so the pros and cons of using a tool like NotebookLM. And I'm not picking on NotebookLM here. It's really the AI solutions versus traditional note-taking, right? So the pros, particularly in this case, it is about Notebook, is that it is learning from your data. That is a big difference because you have hopefully already vetted the material that you're putting into it. So that takes out those weird hallucination things that we get in the AI world today. It also takes out some of the weird misinformation, disinformation, flat out wrong data, because hopefully, again, you've already done your vetting. So the fact that it is giving you this information, giving you these answers, giving you these suggestions, and this output based on what you've given it, that is different. And that is a good thing because at least you know and trust on some level the sources that you're using. It's good if you already have some content and you want to do something with it. You want an outline, you want to create a script, you want to rearrange it in different ways. It's great for that kind of thing because it can look at a pile of text and process it very quickly and give you back what you're asking for. It may also be helpful to extract key points flag interesting connections, things that possibly you missed on your own research. So it's not quite fresh eyes, but it is a different point of view, and it is going to, because it is technology, it's going to process it the way that technology does things best, right? So it's going to go through a ton of stuff and be able to notice patterns, make connections, see terms that are being used, that type of thing. So it's good for that. The cons on this is it's early access and it's Google. We know what happens with what they always call experiments, right? So it is new. It only just this month, December 2023, became available to anybody with a Google account. Before that, it was in limited release. Now, that as a con is sort of yes and no, because it is new. They are still learning. They're taking feedback on it. So yes, it's still under development. Yes, it's not fully featured yet. But things could evolve and get better over time based on the feedback that we give to Google. It is limited functionality. So it is currently just focused on note analysis, text analysis, really, content generation, but there's no organization, there's no higher functioning kind of thing. So, it is raw at best. That doesn't mean that you can't use it. Doesn't mean you can't get value from it today. But I just want to set the expectations that it is fairly basic. What else? Privacy concerns, of course. Anytime you're putting your data out there, that's going to raise some issues. I've got a little bit more information on that. We'll talk about in a minute, but the short version would be do not put your employer's information out there. That will make them upset and you could end up losing your job. Also, don't put anything out there that you really want to keep private, because while they're saying that it's safe and secure and they're not going to use it, it's early days, and you know what? Let somebody else learn the hard way and we'll learn from them, right? There's no ability to use images, bring in images, get images from it. Images are just flat out. This is solely a text solution today. And as a text solution, it's a little weird to me that we don't have even basic formatting. Like, they didn't take the formatting tools from Google Docs. Let's just face it, it's pretty basic, and put it in here. Not there. So this is not a notes. Okay. It's not a document creation tool. Let's put it that way. You're not going to want to build your documents in this. You're going to use it maybe as a tool to collect and refine your content, but you're not going to be able to do your layouts in here. So it's not a regular notebook. Okay. So let me just put it out there. Okay. So it's not a regular notebook. It's not terrible for helping you organize a large pile of content. But you're not going to want to create that content in there. It really is, at the end of the day, it's more of a virtual assistant kind of thing, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to upload some documents, you're going to ask it some questions, and then it's going to work with that to give you back what you're looking for. And then along the way, there is little notes that you can put and rearrange and do things with like that. But it's really focused on sifting through text to generate summaries of concepts, and then through your interactions with it, refine that and maybe get it out again the way that you want it. But you're going to want to take it and put it someplace else to really work with the output or the results of what you're doing in it. And like I said, the really big thing is the fact that at least the thing that makes it stand out is the fact that it is working only with the data you give it. It is not going out to get stuff unless you are looking for citations, unless you are open to the suggestions that it's giving you to do some further research. But it's not just the Wild West type thing of the chatbots where you're getting stuff back and you don't know where it came from. Everything that you're going to bring into this from the outside is going to be cited. You're going to be able to go and research it and vet it yourself. And that is really the point of this. But that said, I know everybody's ears perked up at the data, so let's talk about the data issues. Look, when you're doing any of these things online, your data's out there, right? Now, according to Google, they're saying very clearly that, your data is in safe hands, that any data that it's collecting from you via NotebookLM, and the interactions that you're having with it won't be used to train new AI models or shared with other people to see. I'm hoping that that is going to be true, but again, think I'm going to wait and let some other people verify that fact before we go any farther. Not that I won't use it, but I will use it very selectively. But for today, where we're at, they are very clearly stating that no, it is not going to be shared. It's not going to be used for AI learning. So hopefully that's true. Okay, so some other things to cover here. So it's personalized AI, so that's a good thing. It is only available in the US right now for users who are 18 and up. Not sure how they're verifying that part of it, but that's the statement that they're making. So let me show you what it's looking like today. And whoops. Okay, I literally just fixed that. Wait a second. Let's go get... Nope, let's come back here. None of that was what I wanted to show you. Hang on. I literally just before I went live was fixing that, but okay. Fine, we'll do it this way. Take that off. Okay, so this is the page. Now, of course, as always, the links are in the description, so you don't have to worry about that. Let me fix the positioning on this. There we go. So you can see everything. All right, so this is the page. And of course, you can go through and get some information here. I do think it's interesting that as you watch this little piece here, it's talking about learning, it's talking about brainstorming, it's talking about research. That's why I think notebook is a misleading term here. But here it is. They're very anxious for you to try it. And I just do want to highlight, this here. Okay. Just keep in mind, it's a Google experiment and we've all been there before. Some of them pay off, some of them don't. Okay, and again, it talks about it being a virtual assistant and the fact that you can go in and you can ask it for information. You can tell it how many sources to use, and it will come back and give you some information. But again, I'm saying, don't put your boss's information in there. But that concept of, okay, here I've got all these notes about this topic. Give me the 3 top, points that were made in this particular thing and getting that back. That can be a time saver instead of having to go through and fish that out yourself. This shows you the UI. So over here on the left side, and I will go in for real, but that's where you're going to put your sources. This is where you can put notes. You can go down here, and this is where you do the interaction with the bot part of it. And then if you like the results, if you want to save the results that you get back, you can save those, and those will show up as notes here. And again, we'll go look at this. But, it shows you the different things and you get it started. So let's go ahead and we're going to go in. Actually, you know what? 1 second. Let me switch to a fresh version before I show you one that's live. Let's do it this way. New window, and we'll switch. Link. I want you to have that pure experience of coming in the door the first time. Okay, that worked, but we'll do it this way. There we go. Okay. So here is, all right, I have to remember to do this manually because it's misbehaving again. Okay, so this is the clean experience the first time you come in the door. Terms of service. You agree that your notebook is subject to the terms of service and the generative AI terms of service. So the Google terms and the AI terms, 2 different documents. I strongly recommend you go and check those out. We don't have that kind of time to go through and read them, right? So this is the other thing that I think is very important to keep in mind anytime you are working with AI. And that is it's experimental, and it's sometimes going to display inaccurate or even offensive information that doesn't represent Google's views. More importantly, that you didn't want, you didn't ask for, and are not necessarily what you're looking for. So you have to agree to that in order to come in here and use this. But I did want to make that point. Once you come in here, this is what you've got, right? So you can create your own notebooks, and it has some example notebooks. When you create a new notebook, you're going to come in here and say, you know, whatever title you want. Okay, maybe not all caps. How about that? There we go. Okay, so this is the basic layout. And it's pretty simple, right? So you've got this section over here for where you're going to bring in your sources. Down here is where you're interacting with the AI. And then the notes that you add are going to show up in here. So I just want to show you what it looks like when you're adding a note, right? Because if you think, oh, you know, she's being silly, of course I can just use this as my notebook now. So let's just add a note, right? We haven't done anything else yet. Whoops, didn't really want to, but that's fine. Here, yeah, go ahead, delete. Okay, so I've said, okay, give me a new note, and it added it here. And you can give it a title. So creative, right? And then you're going to come down here and you can do your typing. Hello world. How's life, right? But you notice there's no toolbar. There's no indication that you can use Markdown or anything. This is very much a straightforward, go ahead and type all you want, but you can't really do a whole lot. So like if you wanted to do a list, right? You can't make bullets out of it. I wonder, can you? Okay, you can use tabs, but that's about it. The other thing I did find is that you can make things bold if you know the secret keyboard shortcut, which is Control B. Then you can go ahead and you can bold things, and if you want to remove it, you would just go ahead and apply that again. But that's it. That's it as far as your notes are concerned. So I made it go away by clicking off of it. You can also use this little icon over here to make it go away again. The other thing I want to highlight here is, okay, so I have a note, right? But if I come down here and I try to interact with the bot, it won't let me. Like it's not putting the cursor here. I can't type in here, even though it says start typing. And this is what I mean by this is not a notebook, right? I can't just put my notes in and work with it. It won't take what I gave it and start to work off of that. So this is not a starting point tool. This is a, I've already got some stuff, I want to bring it in and work on it tool. So I just want to make that very clear, because that's one of the things that makes me kind of go, no, it's not really a notebook. I know the marketing department liked that term, but that wasn't really, I don't think it's clear, and I think it's going to cause confusion. But okay, that's life, right? Okay, so let me bring this back. Okay, so the way to do this is to add a source. That's how you really can start to work with this tool. And it's a requirement if you want to use the AI part of it, at least today. So what you're going to do here, I tried this one. Oh, okay, so this is the same. You could either do the add from here, or you can click on this box. So these are your options. You can do it from Drive. You can bring in a document from your Google Drive. You can bring in a PDF. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. Or you can do copied text. So I'm going to go with the copied text option. Just give me 1 second. Let me grab some. Okay. And give it a title, and I'm going to paste it. That's interesting. When I did it last, so this has bullet points, but it didn't bring the bullet points in. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to insert it. Let's see if maybe it keeps it then. Ah, that's interesting. Okay, but anyway, so these are my notes that what we just talked about, right? Which had bullet points in them. I'm going to go and find something else. We can test that too. Because when I tested it earlier today, it behaved differently. So give me 1 sec. but you see that it's already starting to do its job, right? So it's given me a summary. It's giving me some key topics based on what it sees here. And you can then click on it and it will bring that over here, right? And then you can go ahead and you can vote on whether or not you liked the result it gave you. You can copy it if you want to. You can pin it, which turns it into another note. So it becomes a saved note. And now I can come down here and I can type what it is that I want to, whatever question I want or however much I want it to do. Now, this is interesting because the information I got was that you could say how many sources it uses, but since I only have one in here, I guess that's why it's only giving me one. We'll grab another one in a minute. So let's say it's suggesting some questions that I could ask it, or I could tell it to do something myself. Like, so let's say turn this into a PowerPoint outline. Now, this is not a lot of data to work with, but I just want to show you what it does. So it's processing, it's doing what I asked, and it's breaking it into PowerPoint slides with suggested text to put on here. Now, some of them are more beefy than others, but it did try to at least break it out into something useful. And again, if I like this, I can go ahead and save that, and I could come in here and change the title and that type of thing. But let me go and find one more option just to show you what I saw last time. Let's see if I can repeat what I saw before. One sec. Let's try this one. No, of course not. This isn't the one that has the bullets. Oh, give me something quick that has bullets, please. Let me try it this way. Let's just do it. Nope, that's not. Let's try. Okay, let's try this one. All right, so I got another one. I'm going to add another source. I'm going to do copy text again. Obviously, you'd give it better titles. Okay, so it's not working anymore. It did before. What happened before was, and actually, you know what? I can show you in a different window. Give me 1 second. I'll bring it up. What happened before when I brought stuff in that was already formatted was it was carrying that formatting over. So let me go into the other one that I had started playing around in earlier and see if I can show you that, or maybe it's gone by now. Like, that's certainly a possibility. Okay. Oh, did I not save it? No, I did. Okay, so I'm going to show you a different notebook that I had started earlier. So if we look here, okay, this is one where I had copied this content from another source, and it was already bullets, and it did keep the bullets. It kept the bold and all that. And when I came in here, it seems like it's not going to let me edit it now. Oh, that was the saved response. Here's my note. And that's interesting. You can't edit a saved response. You have to copy and paste it. But here's one. Okay, so it's got the bullets. And when I add this, it's carrying across the bullets. And then if I back up, they go away again. So that's the only hack I can offer you as far as being able to get some formatting in there is in some cases, it will bring it in some cases not. And again, this is because it's early days and all that kind of stuff. But I do find the lack of basic formatting to be kind of a strange thing. I know they're putting all their energy into the AI, but it would be helpful if they didn't forget the fact that we format documents to help us understand and consume and to organize it for ourselves. And so it's kind of weird that that stuff is not there. But so be it. That's where we're at. Okay, sorry, I got to get back into my notes here. Okay, so let's talk about what it is you can and can't do today with it. So we were talking about the sources. You can bring in the 3 different ones, right? So you can bring in a Google Doc. You can bring in a PDF, okay? So the rules on that are 100 megabyte file maximum. or the maximum word limit, which is for anything right now. Anything that you bring into this is limited to 200,000 words. Other thing to keep in mind with the PDFs is that, again, this tool does not process or accept any type of imagery. So photographs, charts, images of any sort are not going to become a part of this process. And that is something I'm assuming they're going to have to take care of, because learning, education, and research depend greatly on charts and diagrams and all that kind of stuff. So I'm assuming that that might be something that's coming. No insider information here, but I don't understand how this is going to be long-term successful if it can't provide that, because that's such a key part of those things. Let's see. And of course, you can do paste to text, which you saw. You can have up to 20 sources right now in notebooks. That's a fairly recent update. It was a lower number beforehand. They do recommend, don't upload anything that is personal or sensitive. That's always a good plan at this point. Especially stay away from personally identifying information. So I would avoid names, addresses, phone numbers, that type of thing. And avoid uploading, this is funny, avoid uploading documents that you don't have the rights to. So I don't know, like that to me sounds like a veiled threat, and obviously you never want to steal information, but again, let's go with the research or the learning aspect of this. Research and learning, the core of that is getting information from a teacher or sources. So you don't have the rights to that all the time, right? It's not your material, but you are allowed to use it to learn or extrapolate from or that type of thing. So from that standpoint, what do they mean by that? That was a strange phrase, and I did not find any clarification on it. So I'm putting it out there for you so that you're aware that this is something that they're floating, but I'm not quite clear on how that's being monitored and what that really means, because if you are doing research, that means that you are getting information from other people. That's how that works. So just be aware of that. The other thing to know about this, let's see, wait, I want to make sure I don't trip ahead too quickly. Okay, no, we're good. So the other thing that is mentioned in this, and again, it smells like maybe it's something that they're working on, especially in a world where Google Docs and all that exists. Right now, you cannot collaborate with somebody in this, but what you can do is you can share it. So you can make it accessible for somebody else to view, but you can't have more than one person editing it at the same time. Like, for example, if you've ever done that, what's one of the things I love about Google Docs is you can have your entire team in that document and everybody can be working on it at the same time. This does not have that. But again, the way that they phrase things kind of leads me to believe that that might be maybe down the road. Who knows? Other things to be aware of right now, it works much, much better on a desktop computer than on a mobile device. Fonts are weird on mobile. The layout gets a little funky. It's a little awkward to work with. Again, I would assume that long term that would be something that they fix, but that's where we're at right now. Right now, it's only available to personal Google accounts, so you're not going to be able to do this from your work Google accounts. So if they're using, what do they call it, Workplace or whatever, you're not going to be able to use that. Also, it sounds like it's not working right now for Google Workspace for Education. So again, that's kind of funny since the strength is research and learning, but you can't do that there. So sometimes if you're looking for logic, you're only going to end up with a headache. So there's that. Something else to be aware of, and this is not a negative thing, but it's just something to be aware of. If you do bring in a Google Doc or a PDF or whatever, it's making a copy. Okay, so it's not working with the original source file. So if that source file gets updated, you're not going to see those updates in NotebookLM. So that is just something to be aware of. realize that if the documents that you're pulling from are being updated on a regular basis, it's going to be the human's responsibility to go and get the updated information and bring it in here so that you can keep working because that's not a live connection. You're going to see some differences when you bring in your documents. Obviously, as you saw, you're not getting the formatting all the time. Any images, that type of thing, are not going to be there. They're going to fall out. So it's going to make things look a little strange. If the content I'm hearing is too short, like if you haven't put in enough source material, it may not be able to give you citations. It may limit how much insight it can offer for you. Another pro is that it's already starting to use the Gemini Pro, which is the new AI model that Google's come out. That's going to eventually have 3 tiers. Pro is the middle. Ultimate is not, or Ultra, or whatever they're calling it, is not available yet. But Gemini Pro is a pretty solid new tool that they're working on They are working on hard. So that's already what's being used here. So that's nice. If you're kind of looking, if you're curious like me, you geek out on this stuff and you want to play with the latest toys, that's already a part of this. So that is basically it. I mean, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but this is where we're at. Let me bring it up again just so you get another look at it. That down. There we go. So it's a pretty basic layout. You can select all, you can delete all of your notes, you can add your notes. This is for the sharing, so you've got that there. The help, so when I clicked on this before, let's see what happens now. So it did bring me in here. When I went into this before, it gave me, okay, maybe I clicked on the wrong, maybe I clicked on it too early. I started playing with this like the moment that they made it available. The first time I clicked on this, the information I was getting, let me try. I think that's how I did it. I think it was from a search. Basically, it wasn't for this tool. The answers I got weren't for this tool. Okay, so I asked about formatting, right? Now it's still saying up here that it's Notebook, right? So it says that I'm in the right section, right? How to use NotebookLM. But when I went to read more on this, it brought me to something else. And yes, that's just what happened. So this is about my AdMob page. So this is about the advertising tool, not what I asked for. So just be aware that if you go in and you do a search, you're not getting it in context. It's bringing back all kinds of different things. So there is something here for Notebook. Let's see. This one is Notebook. This one is Notebook. Uploading a Google Doc. Okay, so this one is. It's just funny that this one wasn't. That's a very strange thing. But again, I just want you to be aware. Tread lightly, pay close attention to the details of what you're looking at. Because you shouldn't assume, right? Things may not be as they seem, right? Objects may be larger in the mirror. That type of thing is just going to be a reality for a little bit. And let me see, was there anything else here that I wanted to cover? And you do your thing. So yeah, so you can put your own questions down here, or you can go ahead. So let's look at, let's try one of their questions and see what comes back. So there we go. And if you didn't like it, whoops, let me make that go away. If you didn't like the answer, if you feel the answer is misleading or completely wackadoo, you can vote it down, and that's one of the ways that you can give feedback to Google about this. And then of course you can use just the basic Google feedback options. But that's a good way to say, you know what, hey, this was a weird answer. This had nothing to do with reality. All right, so I would really love to hear from you, either here, wherever you're watching, in the comments, or if you want to reach out at yourtechcoach.com. Are you going to try this? How are you about the whole AI thing? If you do try it, I'd love to hear what your results are, and exactly, what you're using it for. You don't have to give me your dissertation paper, but I'd just like to know, like, how you're using it, what you're using it for, what excites you about this, what your concerns are about it. This is going to be something that's evolving over time. We're going to see a lot of this next year. But again, to get back to our topic, does this replace your notebooks, right? Is this going to replace your paper notebooks and pen and those brainstorming sessions you do? Is it something that's going to replace Evernote, which if you watched the show a couple weeks ago, you know a lot of people are bailing from right now, or OneNote or any of those online tools, Remarkable, all those kinds of things? The answer is no. The answer is absolutely no. This is a companion tool that you can use with your other tools, right? So your handwritten notes, you can type in and copy and paste and make that a source. If you're using OneNote, Evernote, you can copy and paste and bring that in. If you use Google Docs or PDFs, you can actually bring those in as sources and then work with them. But this is not going to be your starting point. This is going to be one more tool in your toolbox that you can use to work on whatever project you need to work on, create whatever content you need to create. But it is not the be all and end all. And from the way they're phrasing things, I don't think they're looking for it to be that. I think they're looking for it to be a tool, one of several that you're going to be using. So, like I said, I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear how you're going to use it. If you are interested in this kind of thing, I recommend and welcome you to sign up for the mailing list at yourtechcoach.com/mailing list. Those folks always find out what the topic is for the next show first. And with the announcements I have planned for next year, they will hear first about all that kind of stuff. So I don't sell the list. You're not going to get spammed. It's just really a way for me to communicate with the community. So feel free to reach out and do that if you'd like. For those of you who power through these videos and stick with me through to the end, I've been throwing bonuses in just because it's fun. Why not? So the bonus I have for you today is a couple of things. So first of all, I'm going to run quickly through what they're promising us in the next update. Now, of course, this is point in time, right? So we're doing this in December 2023. By the time you're watching this video, this stuff may already exist. So I have an extra bonus. But let's just run through this. What they say is coming is as suggested actions. So the idea is that NotebookLM is going to give you pre-selected actions that you can use to transform your notes, right? So it's going to be things like take these multiple pieces and make it one, note. It's going to offer critiques. I'm really going to be interested in seeing that. It's going to do, there's going to be like a pre-formatted summarization option, creating outlines. There'll be something you can click to speed that up so you don't have to type all these things over and over again, because these are the things that they're expecting people to need a lot. So instead of having to type it in and make the request of the bot, it'll just be a button that you can hit to do these things. Same thing with study guides. So you can create an on-the-fly study guide based on the sources and notes that you've given it. And that will include things like key questions, glossaries, key topics, that type of thing. And it's going to also give you the option of letting it suggest related ideas. So you'll be able to hit that and it will give you a list of things and source them so you know where they came from, instead of the Wild Wild West thing that we were talking earlier, where you get stuff back from one of the other AIs that are out there, the chatbots, and you have no idea where it came from. Or, did the bot just hallucinate it? You have no clue. So they are going to, the whole thing here is transparency about the resources being used, so that you can then make the choice on whether or not it works for you. The extra bonus is that there is also a Discord, and I don't think it's clear when you looked at the user interface. So let me bring this up again. But if you are curious about this and you really want to get into it more, if you want to be more engaged, you want to see how people are using it, if you come up here, this is the link to the Discord. So I know some people love Discord, some people hate it. But if you click on that, that gives you the invite to the Discord for this particular tool. And yes, I'm in there. So come join the party. All right, everybody. I hope you're having a great end to your year. I hope that this is something that interests you. But if nothing else, I just did want to make it clear that there are traditional note-taking tools, including handwriting things, or tools like Evernote, OneNote, whatever your favorite online tool is. This does not replace it, but it could become a really good companion piece for that. So I wouldn't dismiss it out of hand, but it's important to go into it with the right expectations. All right. All right, everybody, have a good one. I expect to be here next week, so hopefully you'll be able to catch that. But of course, if you can't join live, you can always watch the replay. Thanks so much. Have a good one, and we will talk again soon. Bye.